All right. I feel like I begin every episode by saying all right. And I feel like it should be a tradition now that it's been going on for like the last 6-7 weeks.
Well, I mean, now that you know, I feel like you just gotta keep doing it.
Like, keeping track of my habits.
Yeah. Well, no, like, what if you don't do it? Well, maybe because, like, if you do it now, people think it's the same episode every time.
Yeah, that is true. I thought about that while I was thinking about that. I was like, oh, man.
They're like, oh, it's the same episode.
Yeah, it's like, wait a minute. This is the same episode. Oh, wait, no, it's not. It's kind of like M. Night Shyamalan twist at the beginning of every episode.
So we didn't do that last week. We were all not feeling it last week. But being sick and
it was Thanksgiving too.
Yeah, and there was the Thanksgiving thing last week. And,
yeah. So happy holidays.
Yeah, there was but we're back at it this week. That's fun. It's always good to sit here.
Yeah.
BS about hockey stuffs.
Of course. We will be doing the podcast one more time next week. And then after that, we're going to be taking some time off up until January, where actually I think
are we gonna do the 29th? Are we gonna meet up for the 29th? And for many of you out there that don't know, we're very privileged, and we get to go to the Winter Classic and the alumni game.
Isn't that the 31st?
Oh, yeah, the 31st. Yeah, sorry. I've been thinking that the alumni game's the 29th for what reason? Because it makes so much sense for them to put it on a Thursday.
Yeah, or Friday. So, yeah, Saturday 31st is the alumni game for the Blues here in St. Louis. I was thinking since Neely was going, we wouldn't bother her with that. So we'd definitely be doing stuff for the Winter Classic.
Yeah, I plan on getting out there at 9 a.m. and tailgating and freezing my butt off all day.
Yep. Endear the winter
definitely
like a man. Experience the elements.
Drink a few man beverages to get real warm. And then
Irish up that coffee.
Yes, and then enjoy that day. It should be a good time, especially for someone who's never. I mean, we've never had a Winter Classic, and we've never got to experience this.
Which to me, like in all seriousness, like I felt like it was kind of ridiculous that all these other teams were getting Winter Classics and whatever other ice rink extravaganzas.
I mean, come on. Buffalo got one before us. Buffalo was in one before us.
Yeah, like the Blackhawks and the Blues have one of the biggest hockey rivalries in the NHL. Not to toot our own horns here in the Midwest. But.
Well, I mean, and I thought too, if we were going to get one, it wasn't going to be a Stadium Series game. It was going to be a Winter Classic, and that's because Bridgestone is the Winter Classic and Coors is the Stadium Series. And I'll tell you right now, the owners of Busch Stadium are not going to let Coors come in and put Coors signs up everywhere.
True, very
it's
true.
It's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
So I knew when we got one, it was going to be a Winter Classic. And I'm ecstatic. I'm glad we got it. I'm glad that it's us and the Blackhawks. The only other team that I would have maybe want to see would have been us and the Bruins if they did it otherwise. I mean, the Blues and Bruins had some pretty big battles back in the beginning of the Blues starting. But I think for 50 years of Blues hockey, I think you definitely go Blues Blackhawks. It's the rivalry in the Central Division. If it was anybody else, it wouldn't have made. I just don't know if it would have made sense.
Yeah. The only other route other than the Blackhawks or the Bruins would be the Red Wings. I think.
I think that would be a good one if they were still in the division, and then moving a few years ago, like that really put that rivalry off. I mean, I remember growing up, I hated the Red Wings. Hated them like with a fiery passion just because they had the Russian 5 line, and that line was killer.
I did too. Since I still love the Avalanche. I wish they weren't owned by whoever they're owned by.
Oh, you mean that Stan Kroenke guy who has really terrible teams in every league? Yeah,
right.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, I still like it, the Avalanche. But that the rivalry that began with them was like I really disliked the Red Wings for a really long time because of that.
Yeah, but growing up, there was a kid that lived by me. He just, like, 97, 98, when we all played hockey on a team, but then we also all played street hockey. And, man, that kid wore Red Wings gear every day. And he got beat up at least once a week by somebody. Like, you just don't do that. And it was terrible. I didn't feel bad for him either. You don't wear your Red Wings Stanley Cup hat to practice and think no one's going to knock it off your head. You just don't do it. So, yeah. But no, like overall, yeah. Hopefully, we'll do some sort of podcast interviews, something like that, for the Winter Classic, and then we'll do whatever next week. But I guess this week we should kind of go into not much of a news thing. We went and saw Ice Guardians. So
that was super fun.
Yeah, it was good. It was a good. They hit on everything I thought they should have.
Yeah. But real quick though, the Blackhawks looking for another goalie. Their Crawford got appendicitis, so he's done for the next couple of weeks. Really struggled to do that. It's like the Broncos picking up a running back off a kiosk at the mall. Like they pretty much did the same thing with their goalie.
Yeah.
Found him somewhere doing something. It's like, hey, come play for us for 2 weeks.
Which, I mean, I don't understand that, but I guess they have enough. I guess that's like saying, okay, you can be Scott Darling's backup. Like, he's not, like, you would assume Darling is going to get all these starts. This guy probably won't start. It's
right.
Hold this place because we have to hold it kind of thing. Like,
yeah, I feel like I mean, they might play him once.
I think you have to. And I know it's not in his quote-unquote contract, but I think as a team, you at least have to pull him once. You have to play him once, and he lets up 4 goals in one period, you pull him. And say, you played in the NHL. Yeah. That's what you do.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's cool. Like, congratulations to that dude, though. Like, who gets to suit up. Like, I'd probably be pooping my pants. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh my god, I'm gonna play hockey.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh
you're playing hockey for not only. It's not like you're playing for Buffalo. You're playing for Chicago. You get to put that Blackhawk on your chest. I would have turned down a contract for the Blackhawks, but no, I would. I'm not even gonna lie. I wouldn't have. But like, that's cool nonetheless.
Yeah, good for him. The All-Star voting has begun, I guess, sometime in the near past. It started.
I don't know. Like, I'm really sad that they implemented the John Scott rule, where they're not going to have the overwhelming like support for that underdog this year. Like, you're not going to be able to vote in that kind of person.
Yeah.
It's going to be what the All-Star Game is and always has been, which, I mean, the All-Star Game, it's went over with a lot of changes, but I still think I think it's great now. I like it a lot more.
Yeah.
I've always liked the skill competition. I thought the skill competition was the best part. But now when they split it up into teams and they're doing they're doing like, I think what they do, like last year it was like the black and the yellow team, or however they switched it up, I can't remember. But and then you draft from there. I think it's awesome. I grew up when they were doing it by conferences, which that gets stale after a while. And then, they did it by North America versus World, East, West, always. It was fun, but it was always like, okay, it's kind of stagnant. Yeah, but now they're doing the 3-on-3.
It basically turns into like the NFL. Like, you're just watching people score for no reason.
But when it goes into the 3-on-3, which they did last year,
and they're playing for something.
Yeah, I think it's a lot more fun. I think I thought it was more fun and entertaining. And I mean, out of the 4 major sports, hockey does have the best All-Star game. There's no way around it. The Pro Bowl is terrible. People don't even want to go anymore for football. The baseball All-Star game, nobody cares about the All-Star game. They just want to watch the Home Run Derby. And I don't know anything about basketball, so I would assume it's just terrible.
Dunk competitions, and the most exciting one in recent past was, I think it was Griffin jumped over a car.
I mean, yeah, that's cool, but that's a waste of a car.
Yeah.
And, yeah,
It's
I
neat.
don't know.
But,
I mean, it's cool, but I mean, I guess you gotta have that one thing. But
yeah. A dunk competition.
yeah, okay, well that's cool. Dunk competition's cool, but we also have that thing where it's let's see who can shoot this vulcanized rubber thing as hard as you can. Oh, you hit it 103 miles an hour, you're a champ. so it's a little different.
Yeah. So yeah. This past Monday, yesterday, we went to go see Ice Guardians. And it did answer any question that you had about people in the specific role of enforcer, and was defending that role as a whole in the NHL as well, on top of other issues with concussions and
Yeah.
player deaths and the
But,
like.
and they did it really good too. They didn't just do the NHL. I mean, they had Brian McGrattan, who's now playing in the AHL, Kevin Westgarth, who was playing overseas in the UK. I mean, they did their research on it. There's no doubt about it. They did their research, and it was a very solid documentary. I didn't feel like there was much wrong with it at all. Few little personal things that I kind of bugged me about it, but that was really it. But overall, it was good. It was well put. I mean, anything that you could have ever wanted to know about it, or any question, it was answered. I mean, they followed everything up with writers, players, and doctors, anything, and it was done very well.
Yeah. The only I would like to hear your personal issues that you had with it. My thing was that I think probably during the time that they were filming it, at the very least, they didn't have any other than Gazdic. They didn't have very many NHL, like, current playing NHLers.
That didn't bug me, but I understand where it is. But I mean, I looked at it as well. There's not many of that left. There's not many enforcers left that are around. So it's few and far between to try to get that person. The one thing that I didn't, and maybe there's a couple things. One was they just kept mentioning Sidney Crosby so much. Yes, they were talking about his concussions. Yes, this, that, and the other. No one protects him, blah, 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 blah. But I'm not saying it took away from the documentary at all, but I feel like including him, the focus got lost. But then I feel like they included him to get attention to the problem.
Yeah.
Like, okay, well, if Sidney Crosby had an enforcer, he wouldn't be getting hurt. Yeah, if somebody was there to watch his back.
Yeah, I definitely felt like they were mentioning him a little bit too much, but at the same time, they were using him as a galvanizing point to be like, hey, like, if you would adjust this and adjust that and move things around a little bit, like the instigation.
Yeah, but I mean, at the same point, I think Sidney Crosby is a bad example because he got a concussion in practice.
Yeah.
No one on his own team was gunning for him in practice. It's practice. And I'm not trying to sound like Allen Iverson over here.
It's practice.
But it's practice. Like, you shouldn't get a concussion in practice. But I don't know. That and but I mean, like, they had